Hi everyone. As I've mentioned before, I have a great love of women's healthcare and reproductive rights history. And exploring the database this week, I yet again found so many sources, and it's becoming super overwhelming trying to pare down my topic. I think I've kind of narrowed it down a little bit further this week into the categories of politics of family planning, eugenics, Margaret Sanger, etc., or sex being a civil liberty, though that is quite literally the title of one of the sources that I found, so not in those words. Um, so, Leanne Wheeler, one of the sources I picked this week, is How Sex Became a Civil Liberty. And she discusses how the 20th century talks about sex so openly kind of challenged the norms of Victorian restraint that led into the 20th century, and led to the so-called sexual liberation, which is something that so many people at the time were fighting against, including Anthony Comstock, who I've mentioned in previous weeks. It kind of looks at how sex and sexual rights as the movement came to be. My parents tell me all the time that we did not talk about sex 50 years ago. You just didn't. Your parents handed you a book, you read the book, and you somehow were supposed to know where babies came from. So that's was something that really stuck out to me, is like looking at this from a whole other standpoint. The other one that is a lot more personal to me was Dove Fox's Birthrights and Wrongs: How Medicine and Technology Are Remaking Reproduction and the Law. He is a healthcare professor and bioethics lawyer, and talks about the changing landscape of family planning. And something that he said really stuck out to me, which is this quote, "Some courts insist that babies are blessings, planned or not. Others shrug over the fact that infertile couples weren't assured offspring anyway. The result is a society that lets badly behaving specialists off the hook and leaves broken victims to pick up the pieces. Failed abortions, switched donors, and lost embryos may be first world problems, but these aren't innocent lapses or harmless errors. They are wrongs in need of rights." There is definitely no shortage of material for me to look at. I'm leaning more, I guess, towards infertility and healthcare, because it's so important, and my husband and I are actually going through that now. Um, and I kind of focusing more on like the family planning aspects of the mid 20th century, because at the end of the day, every single source that I was looking at kind of ties back into the same topic, which is a lack of representation for women's healthcare rights at a national level, because women's reproductive rights is not just about Roe v. Wade. It's about infertility, mental health, prenatal care, postpartum depression, teen pregnancy, STDs or STIs, rape, IVF, sexual wellness, polycystic ovarian syndrome, endometriosis, and so much more than just abortion. Um, and being an advocate doesn't mean that you have to be pro choice. It means that you have to start addressing the problem that half of the world's population has. And Jennifer Nelson, which is another source that I looked at in her book, said that talks about how it's time to look at the feminist movement from the 1960s and 70s, not only as a sexual liberation or the movement that forged the path for Roe v. Wade, but it's time to look at it from, quote, both legal and medical institutions and the male legislators and physicians who populated those institutions, reinforcing women's second-class social status and restricting their ability to make their own choices about reproductive health care. And I think that is so true, is that, there's not enough representation at the national level of women who are going through these things, that are having to deal with infertility or, illness, or not being well, at least reproductive wise. And it needs to become normalized to talk about it, because, you hear every single year during Infant Loss and Awareness Month that 1 in 4 women will experience a miscarriage in their lifetime. Some, like myself, have, endured multiple. But we need to stop looking at women's healthcare rights, reproductive or otherwise, as something that is only about Roe v. Wade, is only about one single issue, and address the issues as a whole. And I think that that could be a really good focus for my paper going forward. My dissertation. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video this week. Thanks.